All right, so now we're going to show you how to do some basic things with variables and outputs. So the first thing we're going to cover is variables, and then we're going to cover outputs in this video today. So if you haven't gone through our previous videos, you're going to want to check those out. This video is part of a series, so you're going to want to check out the actual playlist for this video. Previously, we showed you how you can actually create infrastructure, destroy it, modify it, how you can install Terraform, and a ton of other stuff. So if you didn't watch that, you might want to watch. You don't have to, but you probably should go watch that first. If you don't know how to do all that stuff, you should probably go check it out. You should probably go check it out anyways. But any case, in this video, we're going to show you. We're basically going to be building upon that configuration, and we're going to show you how to work with variables and outputs. So let's just jump right into it, and we're going to start out. So we have our existing configuration in our test1 directory. So main.tf, and as in the previous videos, I'm going to be using sudo for like my plan and apply commands, because I need root permissions to run any Docker commands, and because the state file is owned by root right now. Now, ideally, I'd like to just grant my user permissions for Docker, but in any case, it works just as well this way using the sudo command. If you do have Docker permissions and state file owned by your user, then you won't need to run the sudo command, just to be aware of that. So in any case, this is our infrastructure defined, same config that we used in the previous video. So, defining that we're going to be using Docker, creating a Docker image, and a Docker container. Now, the name of the container that we created before was named tutorial. Now, we're going to be changing that in this video. So we're going to edit a file called variables.tf, and we are going to define a variable in here. So I'm not being super creative with the name of this. All right, so there we go, create it. So we're going to define a variable called container name, and we're going to assign this variable a description, set the type to string, and give it a default value. So we could set this variable later on, but this is a great way to have things in a centralized put all your variables in a centralized location. Any case, right quit. Now Terraform is going to pull in both of these .tf files. It's going to pull in your main.tf and your variables.tf. So we're going to edit our main.tf. Main, all right, so edit this, and here we are going to go down to, all right, let's see, our resource for the container, and we're going to change the container name. Now, previously we called it tutorial. Here we're going to specify a variable. So var.container name. So, oops, make sure I don't typo anything there. All right, container name. All right, so we're going to be referencing, so var.container name is going to reference a variable. Now that is the variable that was defined inside our variables file right here. So variable container name. And the value is container1. So we're going to be creating a container with the name container1. So let's see, I've already run Terraform init in this directory, so we don't need that now. So we do need a Terraform plan. And remember, we do need sudo. All right, so this is going to tell us everything that's going to do. It's basically just telling us it's creating this infrastructure. We went over that in the previous video. So we're going to run a Terraform apply, and it just shows us what it's going to do. So, 2 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. Let's confirm, yes, and it's going to create our image and our container. Takes a few seconds to actually create the image because it's actually pulling the image down from the internet, but still not too bad. And there we go. Apply completed. Resources 2 added, 0 changed, 0 destroyed. So if you run docker ps, you're going to see a running container called container1. Now remember, in the previous video, it was called tutorial. Now it's called container1. So it got that value from the variables file. So that's how you can define variables. Now, obviously, you can get into more depth with this, but that's going to be a subject for future videos. There's a ton of stuff you can do with variables and logic and all sorts of other stuff, all sorts of complicated things you can define. And that's going to be, it may actually be, by the time you watch this video, it may be published, but by the time I'm going to be publishing this video well before I do a lot of those advanced videos. So I basically have the core, at the time of publishing this, I have the core Terraform tutorial published. So you can go check that out. Check out the playlist for this. It's going to have all the core videos showing you how to set up Terraform and do all the normal stuff. It's not going to have a lot of the advanced videos, but those are coming up. So if you watch this long enough after I originally publish it, I will also have those up there. So yeah, another reason to hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell icon so you get updates when we do post new videos. Any case, all right, so the one more thing I'm going to show you is with variables, and we still have outputs to cover too after that, but you can actually override a variable in your apply command. So I'm going to try redoing this, but we still have to run the plan command. So run a Terraform plan. Now we're going to run a Terraform apply, and we are going to specify a variable. I'm not sure if I needed to also specify this in the plan. Let's see how this goes. So Terraform apply var, and we can actually override the variable for container name to container2. So let's see if this works. Okay, so now it's telling us 1 to add, 0 to change, and 1 to destroy. So it's going to actually take our container, it's going to leave the image alone, but it's going to change our container, so it has a plus minus. We went over that in the previous video, but yeah, basically it's going to be replacing this resource. It's going to destroy it and recreate it with a different name. So we're going to say yes to apply it, and now let's run docker ps, and notice we have a container running container2. So the old container was shut down and destroyed, and the new container is up and running, named container2. So that was using, basically we overrode the variable. We said -var container name. This was the variable we defined, and we set it to container2, and we were able to override it that way. So that's pretty neat, and a pretty useful thing to be able to do. Now let's look at outputs. So we're going to create our outputs.tf. So yeah, having a main.tf, a variables.tf, and outputs.tf are pretty standard files to use. Maybe because I'm not necessarily sure off the top of my head if that's just a convention or that everybody just does it that way. But everybody just uses the default names from the tutorial. But in any case, anyways, moving along here, outputs.tf. Let's put a couple outputs that we want to define. Now, I'm going to show you how you can use these two. So we're defining the output container ID, and we give it a description, and then we actually check the actual value that we want to be returned for this, which is going to be our Docker container, the type Docker container, the specific one named Nginx, and the ID for that. So that's going to give us the container ID. And another output we're defining is image ID. And I'll show you how you actually use these in a minute. But description and the value. And it's basically Docker image, Nginx, the specific image, and the ID for it, right? So that's what that's doing. So let's save this, and we can now run Terraform output, right? And that will not give us the output. So in any case, let's destroy this plan and apply it again, or let's just try this. Oops. So there we go. Now notice after we did the apply, it gives us outputs. And it gives us the container ID and the image ID. So those are the outputs defined in our outputs.tf file, that file that we just defined there. In this file, we just defined container ID and image ID as outputs that we want Terraform to give us. So now when we run the apply, it's going to give us these outputs. So you can define whatever you want as outputs in this file. It doesn't have to be in this file. You could name this file something else, but whatever outputs you define, you could define a whole list of things that are useful to you. And when you finish applying, it's going to list them out here for you, nice and conveniently. And now it should, when we run Terraform output, it should also give us the outputs, and we don't need sudo for that. But in any case, yeah, so anytime after you have actually created infrastructure, so you have to define the outputs first, create the infrastructure with those outputs defined, and then anytime after that, all you have to do is run the Terraform output command, and you can get the outputs for your current infrastructure configuration. So that is pretty useful. And that's everything we wanted to cover in terms of variables and outputs for today. So yeah, definitely remember this is part of a series, so go check out the playlist for this and the other videos in the series, and stay tuned for more updates to the series because we're going to be expanding it. So yeah, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell icon. Hopefully you found this useful, and hopefully this was also interesting. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on that next video.